Welcome. In this video, we are going to be doing a goddess card reading for navigating change, whether that is change that you're feeling called to make or change is happening around you and you are sort of being forced into that change. So welcome. My name is Angela Shakti Sparks with Heart Magic Healing. And so the first card, and also there's going to be a practice at the end that you can work with. So be sure to stay till the end. So the first card that came through was this is Ellen, and the card is Patterns. And the message here was to really begin to be aware of the patterns that you have that are keeping you in that comfort level, right? So whenever we are feeling the need to change, or whether or change is happening in our life, there is going to be some discomfort that we move through as we are finding new ways of being, new ways of thinking, new ways of looking at something or doing something. There is going to be a little bit of discomfort that comes with it. And so it's really easy to want to slip back into what is comfortable, even if where you're comfortable isn't where you want to be, and it's not really that comfortable, but it's what you know, it's what your system knows. And so it's often preferable to our body and our mind to keep going back to that comfort level. So we are being asked now to really pause and start to, when you have something come up and you are feeling like you want to go back to that old pattern. So you notice the pattern and you feel like you want to go back to it. What we're being called now is, instead of just doing that old thing, that old way, is to pause and take a breath and really just taking that pause before you choose what direction you're going to take. And there'll be more guidance on this later, but if you choose to then go back and go ahead and do it that old way, or back into that comfort level, at least you took that first step of pausing and thinking about it and considering it before you did it. And that's the first step to actually beginning to not go back to that comfort level, is recognizing those moments of discomfort and being able to breathe into it. And then you can choose from there. And then the second card that came up is Focus. This is Artemis. The card is Focus. And what came up around this card is really seeing the target. So, she's got her bow and arrow, and what I see in the distance is there's that one main target, right? The one main target that you're aiming for. And you can really only have that arrow pulled back. You can't shoot the arrow at more than one target at once, unless maybe they're stacked behind, right? But essentially one target. But I see on the side of it two smaller targets that are on the side and in the background. And so this is saying, you'll have your main target, your main thing you're focusing on, and you can still have a couple of other, you don't want to have too many, but a couple other targets, but they're, in the background. So finding that one target to aim for, to place your focus on. And is there a target, a main target that you can aim at, where if you hit that target, then these other targets are like fall into place? So for example, you're wanting to increase your finances, whether that's through a job or a business, is increase your income coming in. And once you have that, if you have another target where you'd like to get a new vehicle or get a home, then that other target can happen after you hit that main target. So what is the main target for you to focus on right now? And then the next card that came through this is Iris. I know these don't come through real clear, but Iris, Communication. And what came through for this card around communication is really starting to bring all of our communication lines together. So we spend so much time in the thinking mind, and the answers that we seek are really beyond. I mean, think about, we can only sense so much with our senses. The visible light range, light spectrum that we see is a fraction of what is really out there. Same thing with our hearing. So our senses are a fraction. And so when we are only listening with our senses and only thinking with the mind, we are missing out on so much. So this is really about bringing the lines of communication together. Your mind with your heart. So learning to tune in to the heart wisdom, and also the embodied awareness. And that's, think of that gut instinct, right? When you're in your body and you can kind of feel if something feels right or doesn't feel right. So it's about bringing these lines of communication together and allowing them to all work together, and knowing that that is a practice, right? It doesn't happen um, instantly. So just starting to bring these things into practice. So think about when you learned how to ride a bicycle. Never been on a bicycle. You don't get on and just start cruising down the street. You might have training wheels. You might have somebody holding and helping with that process. And so remembering that this is a process, starting to really find this full embodied awareness, and so that you can discern, that you can listen to that inner guidance from your heart center, from your higher, from divine source, from your higher self, your soul essence. And then, bringing these together, learning to let the ego mind relax and tune more into that higher consciousness and that higher awareness. So it is a practice, so be easy with yourself in the process. And then we have Sophia, divine wisdom. And so what comes through with this card is that when we begin to open up these different lines of communication and open up these different senses, that's where we have access to divine wisdom. Through our heart center, our soul essence is, our soul consciousness, our soul essence is existing in this physical body. But as we know, it is so much more. We are so much more expansive. And when we begin to tune into that inner guidance, feeling into our body, bringing these lines of communication together, tuning into the heart, this is where we have that access to any guidance you need. Really, you have access to it within you, and it comes through your center, and dropping in and connecting. For when we breathe into the heart and when we come into this embodied awareness, through our heart portal, we are connected. Through our breath, we are connected to the oneness of all that is. And when we come into this present moment and tune into our heart, we have access to that divine wisdom. And then the next card that came through is Shakti, my namesake, Shakti energy, that creative, feminine energy. And the card is transformation. And so with this one, what is coming through is that we are always learning and growing in our life. Of course, we can always fight it, but really, most of you that are watching this probably, and definitely everyone that I meet these days, we are on this journey of ascension, this journey of growth. And when you are taking these little steps, or when you have often it's a challenge that precedes that growth. And so when we have all these challenges, and when these steps of growth are small, we tend to discount the magnitude of how far we've come. So I want you to think for a moment of where you were a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Looking back, for me, it's like, oh my gosh, like I was so emotionally distraught, unstable. I had so much trauma in my body, and all this work I've been doing, all these little practices, the emotional healing and the breathing and the meditation, even if it's starting out at 5 minutes a day and the tapping, it's like all these little practices have brought us from where we were to where we are now. And so don't discount how far you've come. Recognize the transformation that you have gone through and know that it is only going to continue to expand and grow. And then our final card was actually 2 cards. So this is stillness. This is Yuki Onna, stillness, and Metis brings us wisdom, which was interesting that wisdom came up again because we had the divine wisdom, but here we are. And so the stillness is, and then we're going to come to that practice that I promised. So the stillness is coming to that present moment awareness. It's where our power point is, right? It's where we can choose from. It's where we can tune in and discern what messages are there for us. We can tune into that wisdom. It comes through that still point, that stillness, coming to your center and to the present moment and to your heart, and bringing again all these lines of communication together. And so the practice that I want to share is, a way to do this. So dropping into the present moment. One of the ways I love to do this is by taking a moment, and again, this doesn't take long, to just close your eyes, and I invite you to do this here. So close your eyes, and then you're going to expand your awareness around you, and as much as possible, you're going to take in the senses around you. So notice the sounds in the room around you. Notice the feel of the air. Notice the surface that you are seated on, or standing on, or lying upon. And then sense and feel the space around you, around your body, above you, behind you, below you, in all directions around you. And as much as possible, just taking all of that in at once. And that begins to drop you into the present moment. Now, once you're in the present moment, now you're going to bring that expanded awareness within you and start to feel down into your body. And one way is to come to that breath awareness. So feel the breath move down into the body, and just feeling the breath move into the body starts to bring your awareness there. You can then shift your awareness to your heart center and begin breathing in and out through your heart. And so what's coming here is bringing us back to those patterns, right? Notice the patterns that we have. So when you get that moment of frustration, when you're feeling something is changing and it's uncomfortable and you want to go back to those old patterns, or you're being triggered by an emotion or some thoughts coming up, which usually means they're coming up for clearing, by the way. So when that happens, if your go-to is to ignore it, keep going through your day thinking, I don't have time to deal with this right now, the invitation here is to do this a new way. And it can take just a few minutes. So drop into the present moment, then drop into yourself, and just notice, even if you don't have the time to work with it right now, you can at least notice what's going on so that you can, and then make sure you do this, set aside some time later to do it. Or maybe you just deal with it right now. So if you have an emotion coming up, name the emotion, just name what you're feeling. And you could also, if anybody knows tapping, you can start tapping the points. Even if you don't really know any of the tapping points, if you want to just tap along the outside of your hand here, and then you can tap innermost point of your collarbone, that little indentation here. So even if you just do those two, you'll start to move that energy and just name that emotion, honor the emotion. All emotions are valid. All emotions have a purpose. I allow myself to feel this emotion and allow it to flow through. If it's anger, the lion's breath is a good one to kind of release some of that frustration and anger, is like roar it out. And then if it's more of a thought or memory that's coming up, maybe just make a note in your phone, in your notes, to journal on it later, or if you meditate, sit in a meditation and reflect on it. And then another great way is with Heart Magic Healing, we do monthly vibrational activations. And so in our activations, we start off with a discussion around the topic. We have the energy activation where we clear and move the energies. And then we always leave you with practices afterwards that you can carry forwards in your life. So if you have something in your life right now that's really just, it keeps coming up, and you'd like to move through it, or move through it a little faster and easier, I invite you to join us on our circle community. The link is in the comments below, and you can reach out to myself or Amanda, and let us know what is going on and what you would like to move through, and we can make a recommendation on which of our vibrational activation healing workshops would be most beneficial for you to start with. And so I hope to see you there. Please like and subscribe to our channel, and sending you always so much love, light, and empowerment in these amazing times of change.